South Africa's social entrepreneurs are maverick leaders. They bring the best that business has to offer. Its focus on profit and accountability with the best that civil society has. Its focus on social mission and values. But in South Africa, social enterprises technically don't exist. You're either registered as a for-profit or a not-for-profit organization. So how do you fund this hybrid approach to business and social change? How do you get your idea off the ground that has social mission at its heart?
A fundraising secret in our world is to make sure that we always trade for change, whether it's an investor, whether it's a client buying a service to work with the bank's top 60, or it is somebody who pays you a fee to make sure you grow young entrepreneurs in the most deserving and underprivileged part of our country. There's always got to be a report back that speaks to a return on that spend.
If I was to meet up with a young entrepreneur and I was to give them a few tips about fundraising, number one would be clarity and conviction about who are you and what is it that you want to do.
Our wedges decided to go for profit. Reason being that we think if we can create models which return money to shareholders, we can access far bigger pools of capital, which are far less constrained than charitable capital flows.
Don't change your mission, your vision, your values based on funding, because it's often very easy, and especially if you're desperate, to just say accept any money on their terms and then it will only bite you later. And I mean, Ryan, in our early stage of Spark, we hadn't fully raised the investment to open the school the following year, and we had an investor, which is very well known, that it just didn't sit right with us in terms of value alignment, and we actually turned around and said no. And at the time, it was like, oh, what are we doing? We're shooting ourselves in the foot, basically, because we haven't even got the funding to open next year, but yet we're turning down money. But we knew in the long term that if Spark did work, this investor would actually turn out to be a nightmare to manage and would potentially start, going against what Spark stood for.
I have a conversation with my funders, and I allow them to understand the vision. I also allow them to understand where we're going. So we talk over a 5-year strategy. So it's a long-term commitment than just focusing on a project. So we align ourselves with what is desirable in terms of the space that we are serving. That it's not only about this entity, Vueni Dance Theatre, but what we are doing is going also to contribute to a bigger picture. And we can also measure the impact out there. And we can also be in a position where we can say it's not only serving the community that is directly affected by Vueni Dance Theatre, but it's also about really influencing policy. It's about influencing change on a bigger platform, on a bigger scale.
If you're not talking from the gut, it's not going to work. So it's clarity and conviction, at the same time, total knowledge base of what is it that you want to do.
One key resource that all entrepreneurs need is money. The quicker you can get it and the bigger the pool of cash that you can access, the bigger you can grow. So it's not that you can't grow big on non-profit models, I just think it's harder.
When you earn revenue, you build sinew, backbone, and muscle. If it's just a grant, you're alive, but you're on life support. And when it ends, you won't last much longer.
Stick to what you stand for and don't be easily swayed. And I know it's easy to say, but just believe in what you are and just keep going, keep going, keep going.
Why should I be investing my money in these people? I'm investing my money because somebody's life's going to change. And if one young person's life changes, their community around them, particularly their family, their lives change.
The lesson in writing the book, The Disruptors, is that funding is really tricky for social entrepreneurs in South Africa. There is so much more that we need to do to create flexible funding models that support social entrepreneurs and their social enterprises, recognizing that these are the folk, these are the organizations that so beautifully blend social and economic change.